Good morning, this is Jim Williams with the Hurricane City Tropical Update video for September 4th, 10 a.m. Here's the HurTrack program using the Google Earth showing our watches and warning areas. The warning areas extend all the way from the Texas-Louisiana border all the way to Destin, Florida in the yellow marked areas there. And there's the radar overlay, and you can see some real heavy bands moving into New Orleans. We have bands moving into our current feature, Morgan City, Louisiana. And over toward the east, we have heavy rain moving into the Florida Panhandle. I'm going to show you some rainfall totals in just a minute. Here is our current radar in motion using the WeatherTap program, and you can see the center of circulation is right near Franklin, Louisiana. The system is moving off, almost looks like it's due east. Now yesterday, in yesterday's update video, this was west of Intracoastal City, Louisiana. Now it's moving east. And look at all the rain moving into Louisiana. This is going to be a continued heavy flooding event. And we could see rainfall totals when this is all said and done. Some areas up to 20 inches. And I'm going to show you the rainfall totals so far. But the official forecast does take this northeast. So this is going to be a heavy rain event for the southeastern United States. And then there's a possibility there could be rain spreading up into the northeast from this system as well. All right, here is the radar storm totals from WeatherTap showing the western Louisiana area. And we have rainfall, it's up to 4 inches in some isolated areas south of Lake Charles over towards Cameron, Louisiana. And then we have lighter amounts over towards Morgan City, although I believe those are probably heavier amounts over to the east. There are probably a few inches at least in Morgan City, Louisiana. And then we can look at the greater New Orleans area, and there's been a little bit heavier rain over there. There's been about 4 to 6 inches right around the greater New Orleans area, which is right at the point where the ground is completely saturated and we start to see the rivers coming up and a lot of flooding on streets. So this is going to get to critical levels today as more rain comes in from the south. But look at the southern areas of Louisiana down here. We have up to 10 inches of rain in some isolated locations right around Grand Isle, Louisiana. Looks like that's been the heaviest hit area so far from Lee, is down around Grand Isle, about 10 inches of rain down there. And then we go even further east. Now don't let this scare you. The color is just a change color scheme here. The red areas indicate 6 inches of rain. And if we look around Biloxi, we've had probably 4 to 6 inches. Gulfport, it's been up to 8 inches of rain. In Mobile, we've had up to 8 inches of rain just southwest of the city of Mobile up here. And then we have over in the Florida Panhandle, we've had about 4 inches of rain in some isolated locations, but a lot of heavy rain out over the open ocean, the Gulf of Mexico down here of up to 12 inches in some isolated locations out over the water. So that's what we're looking at, and more rain is going to be piling up along these southern areas of Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana over the next 24 to 36 hours. All right, here's what's going on. Let's take a look at the water vapor imagery of the Atlantic Basin, and we have Katia out here northeast of the northern Leeward Islands, and we have Lee in Louisiana right now, and we have some upper level lows swirling around. Let's take a look at what's happening. We have an upper level low north of Katia here causing southwesterly wind shear, and that's why Katia is a tropical storm this morning. It's been a hurricane, a tropical storm, hurricane, back to tropical storm, back to hurricane, now back to tropical storm again. So we have a system that's really struggling with wind shear out here. Here's another upper level low east of the Carolinas, and that's just drifting around. It's eventually going to kick off to the northeast and weaken a little bit, but there's some shear left behind here, and Katia is still forecast by some models to reach major hurricane status over here when it gets between Bermuda and the United States, or at least northeast of the Bahamas down here. And then, of course, here's Lee. Look at the size of Lee out here. It's a really big system. And, you know, when you have really low pressures in the Atlantic Basin, and we've talked about this on a lot of update videos giving you the anomaly maps, and the pressures are way below normal in the Atlantic. So naturally, even when you have a weak system, you could still have pressures that are indicating hurricane status. Pressures, you know, let's see, we had pressures 29.108, I believe, at one time on this system. So that's easily Category 1 strength pressures, but we have a tropical storm in a weak one at that right at this point. So you know, larger systems and lower pressures when you have a low pressure environment like this does not necessarily mean that we have a stronger system. And, you know, we go back and look at history, there's been a lot of systems that have been classified based on pressures alone, which is not a really good idea because a lot of times that wind doesn't mix down to the surface, and we can go back into history and argue that till the end of time. But the bottom line is we're going to have large systems this year, and I'm sure we're going to see more large systems before the hurricane season ends. But here comes the scoop over here. We have a big scoop in the Midwest, and it's coming across, and I think it's going to break down that ridge even more over here, and I think it's going to allow Katia to turn here off the east coast of the United States. Now, there's a couple of models that disagree with that, so I'm going to show you that, but here it is in motion one more time. You can see the scoop in the upper left-hand corner of the shot here coming in, and that should be enough to kick Lee and Katia out. All right, let's take a look at the models from Hurricane City, and you can see our model maps, pretty much tight clustering of models between Bermuda and the U.S., but there's a few outliers here, and that's the UK Met and the NOGAPs. They both had a left bias all year long with these weaker systems moving more to the west, but I think they're going to come in line with this eventually between Bermuda and the U.S., but they're stubbornly taking us close to the United States. But before we get to more models, let me just show you this. This is the rainfall total expectations going out to September 7th, 3 days from now. And you can see the rainfall 7 to 9 inches all through this area here in northern Mississippi and Alabama and northern Louisiana, up into Tennessee, Kentucky. All these areas could see heavier rainfall. And then, of course, lighter amounts up here through Tuesday up here in the Tuesday period, maybe an inch up here in the flooded areas from Irene. So we'll keep an eye on that, although this system, this could change over the coming days. There could be a little more rain than what was anticipated up in the Northeast. We'll have to see about that. Now here is the European model, and this scare the heck out of people looking at this model because this would be right around the anniversary of September 11th. There's going to be big ceremonies going on up in New York at the Ground Zero location, and this could be an awful close call. Now, I mentioned in the last update that the chances of Katia would probably be kicked and get out of the way by then. This would be if it continues to head to the west and get real close and then kick on out, that would happen. But I think that by the 11th, this will be probably somewhere over in here rather than over here where the European is showing. The European is kind of been all over the place on this system. It hasn't really done a good job handling where they think this system is going to go, but this would be a large system, and it could potentially cause rain up in the Northeast, which would be a problem if this track were to verify. Now let's go out another day down the road. This is going out to the 12th, and it would be right off the coast of the northeastern United States, and there would be some rain spreading into New York. So let's see if this pans out, but right now I'm leaning towards a more eastern route than the European is showing, although the European is a very good model, so we do need to pay attention to this. And here we are out to the 13th, and the system is moving off to the northeast, just south of the Canadian Maritimes out here. This could be a close call for them, and then this heads out into the open Atlantic. So we'll keep an eye on the European here and see if there's any changes with that. Now here is the NOGAPs. And this will also scare you, especially if you live in the southeast. This has it real close to the state of Florida and then beginning to make the turn to the north. Shows a little bit of ridging up here in the northeast. And this is going out about 5 days from now. But I just don't buy this track. I think that trough is going to be a little stronger than what this model is indicating. And, you know, again, the NOGAPs has had a little left and weaker systems throughout the hurricane season coming up. So keep an eye on that, but I don't think those left models are really going to pan out in the long run. All right, now here are all the systems in history that were in this location right around this time of the year, September 2nd through the 6th, and we have 5 systems out there that were in the same exact location at this time of the year, and 4 out of 5 moved out into the open ocean without affecting anybody. The only outlier was the Hurricane Isabel, the big storm that hit the mid-Atlantic back in 2003. That continued west-northwest, then moved northwest and went in there. This is not out of the question to happen with Katia, but it's looking like one of the other 4 models is going to be the most likely scenario. All right, now here's the HurTrack program showing the best performing model. And I went to tropicalatlantic.com, looked up the chart, the table chart showing the best performing model going out 5 days, and it is the TCON model. And the TCON model is the black model, and it's showing a basic northwest track, and then eventually turning to the northwest, and it eventually turned north in time. And the red track is the National Hurricane Center official forecast track, so you got to figure the Hurricane Center does pay attention to the best performing model usually, and we've shown this on several occasions where their forecast track almost mimics the best performing model. TCON model has been the best, only off by about 37 miles at 5 days, which is outstanding. And if you consider that the average model error at 5 days for this particular storm is 200 miles, so it's far outperformed all the other models. But again, the TCON model is one of these models that is a model that uses all the other models combined, so it's kind of cheating a little bit, but nevertheless, that is what it is. It's the best performer. And of course, here are all the models combined. Again, with the outliers, the UK Met and the no gaps out here getting spit out like a wet watermelon seed out of the pack, but I'd pay attention to the pack here, and that's going to have it between Bermuda and the U.S., the best case scenario. So that's about it. Watch that heavy rainfall in the in the southeast United States. There's our water vapor loop one more time. We'll keep track of Katia and Lee. That's it for now. Thank you again for visiting Hurricane City.